All right, so thank you, Susan, Sarah, and Forrest for volunteering to make an educational video on the internal family systems model for people. Delighted that you're able to do that. All right, so welcome, Susan. Because it's a teaching video, I'm going to do something externally that I normally do internally. So I'm just going to check in with my parts so that they can pull back and we can be present. So let's see, I have some techie parts which are like, oh, Susan's picture is not as crisp as it could be. So I'm just asking that one to pull back. It's all good. And what else am I noticing? My bum on the seat, which is good. Feet on the floor. Got a part that's been feeling a little busy around the whole thing. So I'm just asking it to pull back. Letting it know we're here now. There's nowhere else to be. It likes hearing that. Mm. Just appreciating all my parts that organize the morning so that I can be here with you. I'm aware of my breath, that's good. Getting more settled. And I'm aware of feeling very welcoming. I don't know where we're going to go. So there's always a part for me that gets excited by that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so welcome, Susan.
Thank you.
Yeah. So any parts you want to name as we start, or is there a particular part you're aware of that wanted some attention? Or
yeah, thanks. So as you were speaking for your parts, that actually helped my parts relax, and just that reminder of breath, and like I can feel myself sitting in my chair, and there's like a part that I know well that gets really giddy, and then another one that is like, no, don't get so giddy. And so they're up there kind of like doing that. And I also am feeling somebody's, I've gotten some really good, help around this, just kind of trusting the process. And so I'm like, trusting the process. And then I'm also aware of like a manager part, I think, that had been like, well, you could talk about maybe your, ambivalence about taking a trip to visit your parents, or maybe about like, there's something that came up around maybe doing more school. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. So may I have permission, Susan, to be a parts detector for your system?
Please, yes, thank you.
Okay, good. So I hear your manager, offering, which managers tend to do, or we could do this, we could do this. I'm also aware of your part that sought help around trusting the process. So that suggests to me that there may be a part of you that doesn't trust the process, and it doesn't have to. So we could maybe start with that one, because you've got a part that doesn't necessarily trust the process and a part that sought help around that. So I appreciate the part seeking help around it, but my curiosity goes to the part of you that's saying, whatever it's saying, I'm not sure, this may not be okay, or something like that.
Yeah, thank you for detecting that one. So there's like just a little concern, like, Susan, don't say too much, like, this hopefully will be available to everybody who wants to watch it. And so that part is like, just kind of like a little bit of an image protector, like, and I do have other parts of me, maybe, I don't know if it's parts or self, but that are like, they love being transparent. Like, it's just, we've worked so hard to get to a space of really just trusting, like what is around me, and just trusting. And so kind of like the energy in the universe, and we just trust and like just take that leap of faith, and it actually has been working well for me for I don't know, 11 years. So that's kind of where I'm hearing, like, that's
Great.
yeah.
It's great. Yeah. Thank you very much for naming those parts.
Yeah.
There's a part of me, I'm just going to add a piece because it's a teaching video. So when I hear a little concern, there's no such thing as a little concern. There's a part that's concerned, and then there's a part with a qualifier, right? It's a little concern. So
Yeah.
just notice that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear the parts that, love being transparent and all of that, absolutely. The part with the concern about not saying too much, right? So there's a couple of things. One is just a reminder to your system that wherever we go in this session, you can decide at the end whether it gets shared or not, and there's no requirement that it be shared. None. I absolutely promise. And I have no parts that will be disappointed or any reactions, right? This needs to be safe. Your system determines the safety. So that's the core of the work, right?
Thank you. Yeah, that just feels really good. And my parts really believe you, and I feel a little teary. That just does feel really safe. Thank you.
Okay, good. So maybe come to the part that's a little teary. Just notice that one and see what that's letting you know. How come it got teary just then?
Because it feels cared for, and it hasn't always. And it means so much to this part to feel cared for.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Does it know you're there?
Let me. Yeah, now that you asked that, she's looking toward me, and that's good, because I was one of those. I was not caring for her for decades, and so
Right.
yeah.
Good. So how is it for her that you're with her now?
That's really great. She's like got a really big smile, and she's just relaxed and happy to be attended to.
Good.
Mm.
Is this the same one that might have had a concern about saying too much, or is reluctant to trust, or is that a different one?
This one, the little one, seems like a different one. Just to feel cared for is just something she revels in these days.
Okay.
And then the other one is, she's great, is like, maybe connected to my like planning parts. Like this one's like, okay, don't do anything that like messes up with a plan. Like, don't throw anything off. And yeah.
Okay, good. Maybe invite your planning part and this one to just be aware, just make sure they know that it's you and I. And that it's 2022.
Oh, yeah, that helps.
Yeah. And we're just going to explore some of your parts. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, that's really helping. They're settling back into their chairs.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Just want to double check with the one that had some concern about trusting the process or not saying too much. Want to make sure that one's okay, or if that one might need a bit more attention, then we're available for that.
Thank you for being so thorough. That even helps settling, like they're settling even more a little bit, almost into like movie theater seats. They're just settling back.
Oh, good.
It's just to kind of watch what happens. Thanks, Derek.
Okay, so please let that one know and any others, if there are any concerns at all that come up as we're working, to please let you know.
Okay.
Because they will determine how safe the work is, right? So.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
That feels good.
Good. So I'm struck by that little one that got teary when she felt like she was being attended to or cared for. So we could spend some more time with her or any of the other parts that have come up so far. So what feels like the right direction for you to go?
Well, my manager one that had the two ideas, she wants to say something. She's like, well, what do you think, Derek? Should we do the trip thing or should we do the other thing? I also am sensitive to the little one. I guess I would ask for a little bit of help and see what your inclination might be.
Okay. So I really appreciate managers that say, we got this to work on and we got this to work on, because they're quite right. Right. And I'm aware of what comes up organically in the process. And it seems to be this little one with the feelings
Yeah.
is the one that's coming up. So because she's here, we may work with other parts, but I want to make sure if we do that, that's okay with her, because I don't want to move away from her too quickly, because she's only little
Yeah.
and she's got some feelings about all this. So I want to make sure she's okay.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So let me check in with her then.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, she's really young and she's like, yeah, I can feel it right now. Just so I was the oldest of 5 kids, and like, um, I had a sense, I'm not saying that it happened, but that my mom, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the other kids coming along pretty quickly, but my mom and I didn't do things together at all. Like my dad did stuff with my brother because they had this sense, like, you know, the dad raises the boys and the mom raises the girls. But my mom like connected really well with my younger sister. And so I just felt like, so let me get back to her and storytelling a little bit. She just wondered why she didn't have, like, she just didn't have somebody who would like kind of take her under her wing. Maybe it was something that she did.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Yeah.
So your part that was saying, you know, I'm not sure that it happened, but there's a sense. I'm just checking with that one. What's the concern that it needs to qualify this with that statement?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Check that one. Is like, uh, really careful not to put anything on anybody. And I'm getting a sense that that one is trying to protect what relationship I do have with my parents. It's not very close, but just trying to kind of safeguard that. That's what I'm getting, Derek. That makes
Got
sense.
it. Yeah, good, good. So thank that one for that, and just check to see that that one is also aware of how old you are right now. So ask it and wait it to tell you. Wait for it to tell you.
So that one is focused on the little one, and that one is like, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. And how old does it see you as right now?
So I'm gonna have to get its attention.
Okay, so do that gently, right? Just sort of invite it to be aware of your presence, because it's very focused on the one it's taking care of.
Yeah.
Invite it to be aware that you're there with it.
So just saying hi to this one, gently, like he said. And she's a little like, what? Who are you? And I'm like, I'm telling her. I'm like 47 and really, really strong support network. So she doesn't, because I get this sense that she thinks my survival is dependent on my relationship with my mom and dad.
Yeah, good. So the one that's referencing your support network, thank it for that. Ask it to pull back a bit so that this young one can be aware just of you.
Just of me, yeah.
You with your self-energy, you're 47, you have the ability to listen into other parts of you that are younger and help them out.
Okay, yeah.
And then just see how it responds to you.
Just take a moment. She has a little bit like her eyebrows are drawn together and also a little bit of hyper energy. And so just
she can be, Yeah, she can be any way she needs to be, right? So just be present to her in whatever way she's presenting herself as she gets used to the idea that
Yeah.
you are the age you are and this is the year it is. That might be new for her.
Yeah, it is. It is new.
Yeah. So however she needs to respond to that just to get used to the idea. It's a bit of a shock sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like cocking her head to one side. She's like, huh.
Hmm.
So she's taking it in.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it feels like there's a little more. She actually pulled back from you a little bit, but it feels more like a pull back, like a settling back.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
not like, yeah, just a settling, like, oh, okay, like I can stand down a little. I can stand down.
Right. Okay, great. So let her know that that one that she's been taking care of has got your attention.
Yeah.
And ask her if it'd be okay now to allow you to bring a bit more of your attention to her, the one that
Okay,
felt
yes.
like, yeah. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Okay. Yeah. Let me see if she's what she is with that. Yeah. She's fine with that. She's gonna be watching though, making sure I'm like,
Yeah, good.
yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad she's watching. And again, if this one has any concerns, invited to just let you know right away.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, she's okay. She's okay sitting down and relaxing a little bit. Almost like it is a lot of work to be doing that job
Yeah, especially for such a long time.
for such a long time.
Yeah, good. Okay. So now see if it's okay to bring your attention back to this one that was saying it didn't really have anybody. Right? Her sister did,
Right.
but she felt like she didn't.
Yeah, and turn back to her, and I can feel like just this sort of like, I don't know, you feel like compassion, and it's also blended with a lot of sadness.
Yeah. So has she got a lot of sadness, or is there a part of you feeling really sad?
It seems like it's hers, and it's coming toward me.
Yeah. Okay. Is it okay to be feeling this much sadness from her?
Yeah, I think yeah, I think I had a thinking part that's like, I think it's gonna help her, but yeah, it is okay for me to, yeah, it is okay for me to feel this.
Good. All right. So then ask your thinking part to soften back. So it'll allow more of you to be present.
Yeah, just
And then, yeah, and then she'll be aware of you. Right. Yeah. So let her know you get that she's sad.
yeah,
Yeah. Good.
yeah. And I just got an image, like I was looking out her eyes, like in the kitchen of my house, and just looking out the window and just feeling like kind of not connected, like sad.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's where she is. She's looking out the window. She's disconnected and she's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she knows she's connected with you right now.
Mm. Yeah. I'm like, as you said that, I'm being there with her.
Good. Good. So how is that for her that there's somebody there now that's caring about her?
She's looking at me. She's not looking out the window.
Oh, good.
She's looking at me.
Okay. Let's just stay with her.
Mhm. Mhm. She's happy that I'm here with her.
Good. So that's all you need. Just stay with her.
Yeah.
Stay with your open heart and just see
Yeah.
what she wants to let you know about herself.
Well, she wants to take me outside because like we had a property out behind her house with trees and deer and trails, and so that she's like, that was like my family, and I want to I could take you out there and I'll show it to you.
That okay with you?
Yeah, that's great with me.
Okay, out you go then, the two of you.
That's great. We're walking out the garage and like walking outside, and you can see all these like Douglas fir and barn, and we had some cattle too, and she's really excited to show me like the huckleberry bushes, and she gets teary. I don't know whose tears, but I get teary because it's just so like happy to be out there with her. She has a friend, somebody that's older too, because she didn't feel like she had anybody older than her. Like it was just, she was the oldest. She cared for the kiddos, and she just didn't feel like she had like an adult that she could respect,
Uh-huh.
and that she wanted to be like. She didn't want to be like.
Now, is this all coming from her right now, or is there a kind of narrating part stepped in?
Let me see. Yeah, I think that is a narrating part. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, that's good. So let your narrating part know it doesn't need to keep reporting to me, and I'm open to hearing what's going on.
Okay.
But bring your attention back to her. Loves the
Yes.
huckleberry bushes, loves being outside. And maybe let her know this, Susan. I'm really glad that she had that older friend and that she had a lot of happiness. And what brought us to her was her sadness, her unhappiness. So if she would like to, you can let her know that you're available to hear what she's been holding for you now, stuff that's been hard for her, and just see how she responds.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful. Yeah, that narrating part, that one might pop in. But it's settled back now because of your help. So let's see, there's another part, I think another one that just as soon as you like that's angry at mom and dad, but like with her,
Yeah.
the little one. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, is it a different part or is it a part of her?
It's an older one.
Oh, it's an older one, and it's mad about what happened with mom and dad.
Yeah.
Good. So let's acknowledge that. All right. Thank you for letting you know. See if there's more it needs to let you know about its anger, or if it's okay to come back to the little one.
It's okay. Yeah, thank you. It's okay to come back to the little one.
Okay, good. So thank the angry one for letting us know and then for pulling its energy back a bit.
Yeah.
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 And back to the little one. Good.
The little one. Oh, she's like, why didn't my mom hug me?
Oh. Yeah, and it sounds like there's some pain in that question, right? So let her know you hear that. Good.
Okay.
Stay with her.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm getting this sense she's like, I did a really good job, like with my brothers and sisters, like changing their diapers and getting them dressed and feeding them and taking care of them and keeping them safe.
And how come it's so important for her to let you know about all that?
Because mom, why didn't like mom notice that?
So she's got a part that's working real hard, getting it all right, doing all the things she's meant to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like maybe longing for some acknowledgement or maybe just that hug.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
I kind of want to hug her right now, but I'm also like, I don't know, Derek, what's going on, but I also kind of want to hear more from her.
Yeah, so there's probably a caregiving part, right, that wants to give her a hug. So thank
Yeah.
that one, and just ask her to pull its energy back for now, because what she really needs is to be witnessed right now. And then when she's ready for a hug, she'll probably let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's like, why wasn't I pretty?
Oh, okay.
Why did I have brown hair and brown eyes?
Yeah, she's
Why
doing
wasn't-
great.
Yeah.
Keep listening.
Yeah, why was right? She's like, why did I have like yellow skin and eyes like raisins?
Mm.
And then she wants to show me some frog eggs because she found frog eggs a lot in like salamander stuff, and like that always, she's like, that always made her feel better.
Yeah. Yeah, good. You know, what I'm noticing, Susan, is the moment she touches on stuff that's hard for her, there's another part of her that kind of wants to go to the happy place or wants to go to the things that made her happy really quickly. And it's welcome. I'm glad that part was available for her. Right? And it seems like there's more.
There's
The
more.
sad part of her might need to let you know. Where did she pick up that belief about her skin and her eyes? Do you know what that's about?
There has to be a reason. That's what she says.
Okay.
There has to be a reason that like mom didn't want to be with me, and my sister had blue eyes and beautiful curly like white hair, white gold hair.
I see. Okay, so there's a part of her that's trying to make sense of why mum's not attending to her in that loving way. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So let that part know how much you appreciate it, trying to figure all that out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then ask it if it didn't work so hard to try and figure out all of that, what might happen?
Well, then and this is what I hear, Derek, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure exactly, but what I'm hearing is, well, then it would just be because I'm bad.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what she's believing about herself, right? She's bad. And that's why she doesn't get the love and the affection and the attention.
Right.
Good. Let her know that you get that she believes that about herself.
Okay.
And she's welcome to let you know all about that and what connects to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just letting her know that I'm here. I can stay here with her
Mm-hmm.
and hear this.
Mm-hmm. Susan, I just want you to check and see, because sometimes when we hear that from a part, it brings up other parts, other protective parts, because it sounds like it's new information that she believed that she was bad. So just check to see if you've got any parts that are needing to have a response to this before you go back to her.
Well, I can feel my caregiving part like holding onto my arm, and it's like, oh, let's go in and soothe all this right now. Just stop all this right now, just
That's
like
great.
we
Yeah.
always do.
Yeah. Now, does your caregiving part have a concern if you continue listening to the little one?
I'm checking. No, she just does this because it's what we've always done for decades.
I've got that. All right. So this can be hard for the caregiving parts, right? Because this little one's holding so much distress. So if the caregiving part would like to, it could go somewhere else in your system where it does not have to witness this. Or if it wants to stay, invite it to shield itself in some way, maybe a waiting room, or maybe a perspex bubble around itself, or a window. But it's hard for the caregivers, right? So just see what it needs.
Yeah, I got an image, like maybe I'll send it over to an animal rescue agency and it can help out over there.
Is it okay with that?
Yeah, it seems like that would be, yeah.
Great.
I think that even came from the caregiver part.
Oh, good. Yeah, it would rather be there. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. We've got this. Good.
Okay. Yeah, that feels good.
Okay, great.
That feels good.
Now, see if it's okay to come back to the little one, or if there's any other parts that may have a concern or feel like they need to manage this or whatever. Just see, because she's letting you know that she feels bad, and there's probably a lot of energy around that. She believes she's bad.
Do you have some sort of manager planning part that's wanting to plan how this goes? Yeah, so thank you for laughing. I'm going to ask that one. It can just
let it know you're here.
Okay, I'll let it. Yeah,
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah.
And all this little one needs is just to be known. She needs you to know what she's been holding. That's all we're doing.
Oh, that really helps soothe that planning part, because it feels like you just gave it an idea of what's coming or what we're, so that one can settle. And and just letting that one know, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm here. Derek's here. My people are here. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay to go back in?
Yeah.
Great.
I did hear one other part, I think, Derek, that's just wondering if this is like like an ancestral thing too?
Well, it could be. But why don't we stay with listening to what the little one has to tell you before we go into other realms? Would that be okay?
Yeah, that one feels really heard. Thank you.
Great.
All right, so right back, going back.
Yeah, I'll come back to this one. Yeah, if the figuring out part doesn't figure out why her sister gets more attention, then it just means that it's because she's bad.
Right.
That's what she believes. Yeah. And that's a horrible feeling. So just stay with her as she lets you know more about that.
Just trying to re-establish contact with
Yeah, take your time.
her. She's like sitting down. She's got a stick in her hand and she's kind of moving it around in the dirt. And it's like, why can't why can't be like other families and like have friends and like toys and clothes like the other kids and listen to music and watch television like the other kids.
A lot of sadness about that, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I didn't really fit in at school and I didn't fit in at home.
Sounds like there's a lot of pain in that. So just keep listening, Susan. She's doing great. Just keep welcoming her. Thank you. Yeah. She's been holding this for you for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's what do I do? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be different. Right. I don't know how to be what they want. I can't be what they want. Yeah. I can't be what they want.
Yeah. Good.
I don't know what they want and I can't be what they want.
Yeah. It's a very difficult place to be. Thank her for letting you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep listening. Doing great.
And why aren't they happy? Why aren't they happy? Maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a sense, Derek, of like this. Maybe the other one, the part they got angry because later get angry. That one's like, well, they don't like me, then I don't like them.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's the way that makes sense, right? Because then it's easier to be there than it is in all of this pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let that one know you get its strategy. Absolutely.
Okay. And then I don't know if this is a different one, but just like little things that she did to hurt herself. Like,
well, just ask. It could be part of the little one, or it could be a different part. So just ask.
It's a different part. It's an older one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how come that one just came in? It wanted to let you know it also helped cope?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And basically, yeah, just like we hurt ourselves. If it's too much, we can hurt ourselves.
Okay. Yeah. It's a kind of physical hurt.
Yeah, like burning.
Yeah, and then that does that distract from the emotional hurt? Is that why it was happening? Okay. Good. Let it know you get that. That was all it could do at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that you're here, we're able to do something different. We're able to witness the pain, right? And then we can move towards releasing it when she feels ready. But for now, just keep listening. See if there's more.
Yeah, just sadness, just head down.
Yeah. Yeah, just stay with her.
I'm just feeling it with her.
Good. So glad she's got you.
She's still sad. She like looks up at me a little bit and then like looks back down, and then she's looking back up at me.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe she's checking that she wants to make sure that you're going to stay. So let her know you are.
Okay.
You're not going anywhere. You're going to hear all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she can take as much time as she needs. Right?
Yeah.
Those waves of sadness, let her know you're getting all of that.
It's funny, I have another part that's coming in that's like, well, we can read this book or that book or this book or that book.
Yeah. Yeah, she had a lot of parts that tried to help with the pain, right? That's what it sounds like. So thank that one too. Yeah.
And when that one pulls back, I can feel it
Yeah.
more. She has a lot in there.
Yeah, I know.
We're sitting next to a bridge now
Mm-hmm.
on my grandpa's property. It's an old bridge, wooden bridge, and the river's underneath us. And I'm just with her because she's like, she's saying, you know, that was a lot of time to spend by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's letting me hold her, put my arm around her.
Good.
And the like river is really beautiful. It's it is really nice to enjoy it together.
Yeah. That's all she wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Feels really good to be here with her.
Yeah. Good.
It just got this image of like these petals that are floating down the river.
Mm-hmm.
And later on in my life, I became bulimic.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time where I dropped like these flowers in the toilet to just, and I wasn't sure why. Anyway, just feels so good to be there with her and just watching the petals as they're like going down the river.
Yeah.
But we're like healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm just letting her know that like I'm really healthy and I have been for a long time.
Okay. Sounds like that might be a reassuring part, right?
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
I love heart.
that's okay.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, of course. Just come back to her. You're all she needs. Right?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Um,
Just see if there's more. You're just going to come back to her, right? Settle in with her. Just see if there's any more.
she's just asking me if I can like we can do sleepovers together or like put a tent outside in the forest and we could like do that together.
Yeah. What do you want to let her know?
I'm saying, yeah, like
Yeah.
absolutely, we can do that as much as you want.
How is that for her to hear?
She's really happy. She's just really happy.
Good.
She's really happy.
So Susan, maybe let her know before we go to that place.
Yeah.
Just want to check that she shared everything with you that she's been holding that's been hard for her.
Okay.
Because what we're going to invite her to do when she's ready is to release all of that so she never has to feel it again. And then she can permanently be camping out and be under the bridge with you, with company. But first, we just want to make sure she doesn't have to hold any of that stuff anymore.
Yeah, there was just one more thing, like being really little and like riding the school bus. She just showed me like, and she couldn't ask anybody for help with how to ride the school bus. She's gonna walk home.
Okay.
So I just get this sense what I'm hearing from her, because I know I have, is like she wants to be able to talk to me about things and ask me things, like she never could do that before.
Okay, good. And does she want to need to do that right now? Are there specific things that she wants to engage you about?
She asks me, how do you make friends?
Yeah. Yeah. Because she feels like she doesn't have any.
Yeah.
Hard.
So just,
So let her know you hear the pain in the question. Right?
yeah. Okay, yeah. 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 She's smiling.
I'm glad. And again, is there any more? Because we want to make sure that we help her to release everything.
I'm checking. And she wants to draw with me too.
Sure. Yeah, all of that's coming. All of that's coming.
Okay, that's it.
Did you say that's it?
That's it.
Okay, good. So I want you to ask her, Susan, does she feel like you get all this in the way that she needs you to?
Just asking, and she's happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want you to just check one more time. Is there anything else that's been hard for her that she hasn't let you know about yet?
No, she just wants that I'm bad, that guilt, that I'm bad I did something wrong, just out of her.
Yeah, we're going to help her with that. Absolutely. Okay. So it sounds like she's ready to release all that. So what would you like to release it to? One of the elements or light? Do you have a sense?
Oh, so I have another part that's like, burn it all. But let me ask her.
That might work for her.
It's the water. It's the river underneath the bridge that
Oh,
we sit on the bridge. It's that river that's where the blossoms are, that will just carry it away from us really gently, not scary.
all right. So in whatever way makes sense to her, invite her to just release all of that energy, all of that stuff that's been so hard into the river now. She doesn't need to hold it anymore because you know about it now. So
Okay.
you can go.
Yeah, so we're just putting all sorts of blossoms, purple irises and like pink ones and white ones and red ones, like rhododendrons, and they're all just on the, it's just completely covered with all that.
Great.
And the red one is for the guilt and the shame. The red ones are for that.
Good.
We're just watching it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of blossoms.
Yeah.
Like a carpet on the river almost.
Uh-huh.
Now it's just sparkling and clear.
So does it feel like she's released it all now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Susan, I want you to invite her to check her body one last time. Does it feel clear now, or is there still something there that does not belong to her?
There's just like just like this one big, like almost like a poppy or something. And we're gonna put that in the river together. And that's
Good.
just the last vestiges of that, like I did something wrong.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
And one more for like I look, I don't look. Like there's another one, just like a daffodil that's like for the, it's just how I look. That's what it is. That's going to.
Yeah, good.
And that feels good. That feels good.
Yeah, good.
That's it.
So I have this kind of pit bull part. So I want you to ask her to check her body again. See if it feels clear now or if there's anything at all there. It doesn't belong to her.
Just some like, there's actually just like some whatever, some pussy willows and like little tiny cherry blossoms. And it's like I did something bad because like I didn't believe in God the way that my family believed in God. I believed in God differently.
Yeah.
So that's going to, thanks for
Good.
asking. That's going, yeah.
Good. Good.
That feels really clean and clear.
Yeah. Good. I've got a felt sense that that's a little different now.
Yeah.
And again, because we don't want to ever have to come back to her holding distress again, right? We want to come back to her in the play place. So is there anything else?
She's glowing. She's light.
All right. Good. Okay. So if she's glowing and light, she may have done this already spontaneously, but just ask her what she'd like to take in for herself now that all that icky stuff is gone.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, just the light of this, this, of like that's reflecting on the water, and like just it's just a beautiful day. It just feels like a beautiful day, and that's inside of her, like it just is emanating, radiating from her.
Okay, so she's a beautiful day.
Yeah, she's a beautiful day. She is a beautiful day. She's almost floating.
I'm so glad to hear that. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's ask her, Susan, now that she's a beautiful day, where would you like to settle in your system, or how would you like to settle? She could age. She could stay right there by the river. She could have you in a tent there by the river. She could hang out with other parts. All sorts of possibilities now. She's not stuck in the pain. So just see what works for her right now.
So I'm getting just so much happiness, and like absolutely staying by the river and the skunk cabbage and where the cattle come and graze and the Douglas fir, and we'll hang out there. Okay. I'll go visit her there.
You'll go visit her there. And would you like maybe another part to hang out with her there as well?
Thanks for asking that. Let me check with her. She just wants me, and she wants all of the animals, the deer, the cattle, like the birds, the squirrels, all of them. And she wants me, and she wants a horse, actually several horses, if that's okay.
What do you want to tell her about if that's okay?
Absolutely, you can have horses. You can absolutely have horses. You can have Appaloosas, you can have draft horses, and whatever you need. Cowboy boots, got cowboy boots, you're set.
I'm also wondering, Susan, if the caregiver part might be interested in being there with her.
Yes, indeed. That's a good call.
Right.
Yeah, right there.
All right.
I think you sensed her. Yeah, she's there.
Good. So let's set that up. That's great.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so for now, we're going to shift the attention up a little bit in the system. So let her know you're going to come back real soon.
All right, yeah.
Is she okay with that?
Oh, she's so happy, and she's very okay with that, and I will come back.
Okay. If possible, I'd like you to come back each day for about 21 days. Is that doable?
For sure.
Yeah, great. Okay. All right. So let's come up a little bit now and invite some of those protective parts that have been so connected to her, right? We'll just invite them in to notice that she's so happy. She's a beautiful day now.
Yeah.
So the part that was mad at the parents, and the part that used self-harm to try and take away from the emotional pain, and the part that used food or in particular ways, and your thinking part, and the one that tried to figure everything out and answer all of her questions, just invite them all in, and any others that I might have missed.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trailing in through the stock gate and like, over to where she is, and just kind of seeing her.
Right. And then any comments or questions or concerns from any of these protective parts?
But yeah, they're like, why is she so happy? Why is she so bright? Why is she floating? what? I mean, they're kind of like looking at each other and talking to each other like, hey, what happened? I don't know. That's what they're like.
Yeah, so maybe let them know what happened, right? You
Yeah.
listened to all the stuff she was holding and she didn't need to hold it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's because they let you in to do it. So thank them for that.
I'm thanking them.
Yeah.
And they're like really interested. They're like, what happened here? They're like, what happened? It's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes when protective parts like this, when they've been compelled into their role by the pain she was holding and she's no longer holding it, they can sometimes choose to shift their role a bit if they'd like to, particularly the one that talked about being so tired, but they don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But just invite them to be aware of that over the next little while. They might find that they can, if they'd like, take a break occasionally, something like that.
Yeah, they're all really like, this is just very surprising to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very.
Well, and it's new, so let's give them a bit of time to get used to the idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe you can visit with them in a little
Yeah.
while. Well, yeah, just see how they're doing with the newness.
Yeah, I'll visit them as well. Yeah.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So any other parts that have ever known about this little one? I just issue this kind of generic invitation, just see if anybody else would like to come in and be aware of this shift in your system.
Okay. I'm just sending that out.
Great.
And yeah, there's quite a gathering.
Good.
She's very, thank you. Yeah, quite a lot of, there they are, lots with her.
Good.
Thanks. Yeah. They're settling too.
Good.
They're staying with her, but they're settling.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's okay to come back now into the outside world with me?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I do.
Welcome
Thanks.
back.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful piece of work. I'm so glad she's happy.
No, it's such a huge change, such a huge shift for my system.
Yeah.
And she's connected to so many parts.
Yeah, that was my sense. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a moment, I'm going to invite your friends back in. Is that
Yeah,
okay? You ready for that?
Of course, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, so please bring your videos back online, all those supports that we have. And Susan, what I like to do after a piece of work like this is to invite anyone that has a heart connection to let you know about that, but you might just prefer to sit in the newness. So, and then we could just go to clinical questions instead. What's better for you?
Oh, I'm so happy right now, like, and I'm probably not very cognitive. So but I'm super happy with everybody here, and just, yeah, love my people here. So
Would it be okay to hear anyone that has a heart connection to your work?
yeah, and anything, anybody, yeah.
So if you do, because there's three of you, just raise your physical hand and I'll call on you. Okay? And if you feel that heart connection with any part of Susan's work, you can let her know. And if you don't, you don't. Right? Some systems resonate with others and not with others. But just raise your physical hand if there's something you'd like to share. Sarah Stone, yeah, please unmute.
There's a part of me trying to organize myself so I can be articulate, and just such a big right here resonance. It's still there. Yeah, I had part that wanted to hold your hand during the session, and just so resonated. I have definitely a little one that resonated with some of the stuff that your little one was carrying, and that was grateful to hear. That one was grateful to hear what was happening for you at the river. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. And I really felt held. I felt that, Sarah. So thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah. Forrest, Sarah, anything? Yeah, Forrest?
I was just going to say that just a profound level of just admiration for the courage for all levels, like that younger you, that all the protective parts, you, yes, the salt, like that's the one thing I'm holding just profound gratitude to witness was the profound level of courage all of them showed today, and also with what they've been holding and how they've been trying to protect you and help you along. So there's just awe. Lots of it did resonate with various different aspects of me, and I think a lot of them just even benefited vicariously by being able to witness and to be, you know, a silent hidden part of this. So thank you. Thank you, Derek.
Of course. Sarah Johnson, you got family stuff going on. Is there anything you want to share right now?
He just exited, and I did go get the headphones, so that was good. It was so beautiful, Susan, every part. And I mostly had like my mom's parts up that resonated with like making sure that, because I can super understand how one would feel that. And so since I just had a baby and now I have one that is a brother, I had like a lot of resonance, but from like the other side of like, that makes so much sense. Let me make sure I don't do that. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to invite your clinician parts. Right? So any observations about the work, anything you want to say to me about the work, any questions, choice points, anything like that? So just raise your physical hand so we don't talk on top of each other, and I'll ask you. Yeah, Sarah.
Just a couple observations that come right to mind. One is that your pace, your like efficiency about moving from one thing to the next was like, whoa. I kept thinking like, wow, like his transitions are so fast. And I think it's because I'm still very much in the beginning of learning the model that I'm thinking like, I'm always waiting and listening more and wondering, what am I doing next? Anyway, it was really, really helpful for me to see you move in that way and identifying so many parts right away when they would show up. That was the other piece, that the qualifiers in the beginning, or these ones that would start to show up, the narrating one or whatever it was, that it was just like, wow, it was just amazing to me how many of them could come in and out of the scene and you could contain it and kind of like reorient. So I guess that's the part that first struck me most.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So I'll comment on that if that's okay. Partly it's practice, of course. You get used to recognizing parts the more you do the work. Partly it's that felt sense of the self field between Susan and I. So when Susan was with the part, it was so clear. Once she dropped in, it was just so clear, because the whole sense of what Susan was saying I could feel how connected she was to the part. And then the piece is, if I'm holding a lot of self energy and I'm helping Susan work with the target part, which was this little one, that's my client, right? Is that little one that's feeling so badly about herself, right? That's who we're going to help. And so when the others come in, just invite them, you're welcome. And right now we're doing this. Because the protective parts also care about that little one, as long as they know that there's somebody around who cares, which is Susan and me, it just makes it easier for them to soften back. And where beginning IFS students tend to get it at the beginning is, you're learning a model, right? Mirror, seatbelt, maneuver, it's all of that, right? And now you just get in the car and drive. So you're at that, and so it can feel a bit clunky at first, right? But that's where you're headed. The more you practice, the more you'll experience it as a flow. It's a dance, really. It's a dance. Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. Forrest, anything?
Yeah. I too was just in the marvel of the pace, and I love that metaphor you talked about. Like, you eventually get the car, like, talking about the focus of, like, the little ones, the client, like that really helps. I found myself wondering, at all, Derek, if you'd be willing to comment, like, if you have a protector who doesn't quite want to stand by or wants to try to facilitate somehow the healing process. I'm just curious how you might navigate it. For instance, if Susan's like caretaker part didn't want to go away, like no, I want to be right here while this is happening or whatever.
Sure. So the offer I made to the caregiver was, if it wants to stay in a way that's safe. Because what happens when there's a distress presentation coming through from the exile and the caregiver comes up, it's actually very hard for the caregivers, because, I mean, who wouldn't? They just want to give her a hug and say, oh, honey, But the healing, the transformation comes when it's fully witnessed, and caregivers find it tricky to fully witness because of the depth of pain, right? So the offer was made to the caregiver that it could have shielded itself. But if any part is not stepping back, a part with an agenda, a part that wants to, there was a manager that wanted to manage things at one point. If it's not willing to step back, then we want to find out what its concern is, because it's creating the safety, right? So we don't want to bypass it. So whatever its concern is, it will be one of the common manager concerns, and we'll address it. And maybe I don't have enough self-energy in that moment as the therapist. Maybe Susan doesn't. Maybe Susan's got a blended part with an agenda to get the exile out of there, right? Or something like that. Or maybe there's a fear of overwhelm. That's the most common fear, right? So anytime a protected part comes up, we don't want it to step back until it feels it's safe enough to do that, because the protective system determines the safety of the work. So anytime you're working, the client's protective system are your greatest allies as the therapist, because they have all the information about keeping the work safe, and you want that information. Yeah. Great question, Forrest. Thank you.
I'm gonna ask a quick question related to that.
Of course.
So, and almost like, and make sure I understand, Derek, that in some ways, like when they're showing up implicitly, like they are really actually helping support the process, because they're letting you know if protectors potentially blended, or that there's something else that needs to be attended to.
Yeah, that's why the orientation is so important. Do they know that it's just Susan and I and you folks supporting, right? Do they know that it's 2022? Do they know that Susan is an adult with so much self-energy that she's able to come to these parts and listen? And once the updating has happened, often, as you notice, right, they'll soften back. So, okay, yeah, that's why those orienting questions are so important. Yeah. Sarah Johnson Cardona.
Yeah, it was so amazing to get to watch you both. And the pacing thing I also noticed. I really liked the question that you asked. That was something like, is it okay for you to be feeling this much sadness? Mm-hmm. That felt like I've noticed that sometimes, for my system anyway, it can feel like when the opposite of that is asked, like slow down the sadness, or like make sure, the intervention, if she were feeling too much sadness, for like the part to give it more slowly, can feel like invalidating potentially. And so, but I get the purpose of that too. Anyway, so I loved you asking that before you would go in with the intervention of like, okay, well, we could slow it down or whatever. And it was awesome how you kept redirecting to the sadness of that part. And I just really loved the words that you used to do that, because it was like validating of all parts of that part, it felt to me. And then when you said like, what I'm noticing, Susan, is that like every time we get close to like the deeper sadness, you didn't say that exactly, but that another part of her comes up. And that obviously happens a lot for a lot of for me, for my clients. And so I just loved, like, that was such like a smooth way of bringing back to that, and so cool. And then I really, really, really loved that. And just the continued checking felt really awesome. Like making sure that she had shared everything she needed to share, but that you kept checking on that isn't something I've checked on so many times, and was really cool to see. I wondered, there was other things too, but I wondered, there were a few times when Susan maybe seems like a tiny, like she was maybe like a tiny bit confused as to what was coming up, and she would sort of ask, like, Derek, I'm not quite sure. I don't remember the exact words that Susan used, but I wondered if that was like another part of Susan coming up that was confused, or if that was self, and you did a perfect job of reassuring her, and you didn't get into like if that was another part or not. Like, and I thought that was so perfect. I felt that I maybe would have gotten into wondering if that was another part. So I would love anything you would have to say on how you were able to reassure her and just like move forward. I'm guessing like she had enough self that it didn't really matter to go into the other part or something, but.
Yeah, that's the piece, Sarah. When there's enough self, your interventions can shift. So I think a couple of times, I'm not entirely clear on what you're referencing, but I think I know a couple of times I said, just let it know you're there, or let it know you've got this, or something like that. And that was all it needed, because Susan was there and was able to hold so much self-energy when the other parts danced back. So I've got a feeling that was that intervention. And then the other piece around the depth of feeling, it's very important to check, especially with a brand new client, right? Because you don't know how their parts are around expression of affect, right? So folks that have been through, I don't know, cathartic release models and, they've done all that kind of work, tend to be very, very comfortable with a lot of affect moving through. But a lot of heterosexual men in particular, right? Boys don't cry. You're a sissy if you cry, right? And so, and so when tears may begin to leak, there can be the shaming parts coming in, right? And that can lead to backlash, right? The client leaves. I can't believe I said all that in front of Sarah. I can't believe I was crying. She's going to think I'm an idiot. I can't go back to therapy. What's wrong with me? Blah, blah, blah. So to just check, is it okay to be feeling this much? You then when you know your client, you can determine, okay, their comfort level. But if you get a no, as you said, then you move into interventions to invite the XL to pull back some of its affect energy. And they know how to do that if it's in service of being witnessed, right? So that it's never a rejecting of the XL. It's like, this is how this person will be able to hear you, which is what you want. We're kind of inviting them into an awareness of how they can be witnessed so that we can facilitate the release. Does that make sense? Yeah, good. Good. All right, any other? Yeah, Forrest.
I just had a question about pacing, right? So if we're doing this in a session and it's clear, like, okay, an XL has a lot that needs to be witnessed. We will not be able to get through witnessing and the next subsequent stages, right, in the session. Do you have any kind of counsel or tips about how to like contain, I guess, and package this if we need to, pause it between sessions?
Sure, absolutely. So if it's a brand new client and you're working IFS, about 10 to 12 minutes before the end of the session, begin to wrap up. Some systems need longer to wrap up and do the kind of metacognition of the session. If it's a client that only needs 10 seconds, then you're dancing for 10 minutes, but just create that space until you know your client and how the system tends to wrap up. If you're coming towards an XL and you've got 10 or 12 minutes to go, I would say we're not going to go any deeper right now, just because we don't know how disrupted the system might get. And again, this is until you know your client's system well. If towards the end of the session we're in XL territory and there's clearly more that needs to come, then the interventions are like, thank that part so much for letting us know. And we want to make sure that everything it needs to let you know is witnessed, and we don't want to rush it. So let that one know we're going to come back next time, and we're going to find out everything else it needs to let you know. So in the interim, would it like another part to hang out with it? Because exiles are usually alone. That's often the case. Is it okay for you to check in with that part between now and next session? Now, often a manager part will say yes. So we want to make sure that that's coming with enough self-energy that there's going to be a follow-through. So I will say, how are you going to check in? I want the specifics. Are you going to include this part in your prayers or in your meditation practice or in your journaling? You're going to set an alarm on your clock, on your phone. How are you going to check in? Because if the client says they're going to check in and they don't, it can reinforce the part's exile belief, right? That I'm not important, that I don't matter. So that's really key. And if the client, has a part saying I'm too busy to do all this, or I only keep this for my therapy hour, that's fine. We'll check in next time. Next session, if Susan comes to me next session and she starts off with, or if a client, Derek, you wouldn't believe the week I had, I almost lost my job, and then my partner said that they were thinking of leaving me, and what am I going to do with the kids? And they've had a chaotic week. I'll say, I hear all of that, and we've got that little one that we said we'd come back to. So we're going to come back and check in with that little one first. The client's agitation level might be, well, you don't get it. Like, I've had a hell of a week. It's like, I do get it. I do. And because in my system, I know there's a child in there that we've made a promise to, and we have to follow through on that promise. Otherwise, it's not fair. And as I said, it can reinforce the exile's belief. Sometimes the client system will say, yeah, okay, yeah, she's not there this week. And I'll say, yeah, you know what? Sometimes those little ones, they like to play hide and seek. But the message I'm sending is, I'm not letting you off the hook. We said we'd check in. We're going to check in. Then when we check back in, okay, there's a lot going on in the client's week, and there's a whole bunch of parts asking for attention, and we said we'd come back to you. So would it be okay to go to some of these parts that are really agitated, or do you want to be the focus this week? Children, as you probably know, and young parts can be so generous, right? They're just like, yeah, okay, you can go to those other ones, but sometimes it'll be the opposite. Sometimes it's, no, you said you'd come back, you promised. So in that case, divide that session in half, right? First half with the little one, second half with the agitated parts from the last week. Then when you get halfway through the session, just check and see if that's still what needs to happen, because things will have shifted. But those are the ways that we take care of the exile in this continuity across sessions. The one piece you may want to consider letting clients know is when the exile is closer to the surface in terms of consciousness, but not yet released of its distress, there could be more firefighter activity during the week, because the firefighter's job is to distract from the exile's distress. Right? And so chances are, if the exile is a shame exile, which this one is, which is often a core exile, because shame is endemic in our culture. Right? If it's a shame exile, I'm bad, there's something wrong with me, I'm not okay, triggers during the week will trigger that. Right? So if your partner says, I can't believe you didn't take out the garbage again, well, it's because I'm bad. Right? If your kid says, you forgot to play with me, it's because I'm bad. And because that energy is so distressing, there may be increased firefighter activity, whatever it is, drinking, smoking weed, porn watching, raging, I don't know. But it's good to let the client know that that's a possibility during that week, because otherwise, if you get the increased firefighter activity, the manager parts say, we're getting worse. We're drinking more, we're smoking more weed, the therapy is not helping. So I would let people know there could be more firefighter activity. How is it to hear that? Because then the managers can say, yeah, I don't particularly like the idea, but if it's only a week, we're good, or something like that, right? So it's kind of informed consent with the managers, really. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Forrest? Yeah, good.
It does. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So if it's okay, Susan, I want to comment overall on the session and then we'll wrap. So as I said, there are core exiles, and shame tends to be a core exile, just because there's also the legacy, you referenced it, Susan, during your work, there's the legacy of shame coming down, right? Shaming for generations has been the dominant form of behavior control for children. Why? Because we'll do anything to avoid it. Right? There's nothing worse than feeling shame, right? So, and this one, in the absence of the nurturing, needed to make meaning, right? Why isn't she hugging me? Why doesn't she love me? And all these parts trying to come up with the reasons, right? But the pain in that why, right, is actually I'm not being loved. And the exile needs to make sense of that. And the only sense it makes of it, because the parent is not taking the responsibility, is it must be because I'm unlovable. Right? And that's because I'm bad. That's because there's something wrong with me. That's how shame gets formed in the system. And if anyone's watching this video, I have 3 free videos on my YouTube channel on shame. And the third one is a meditation, guided meditation to go in and do some of this clearing. So you're very welcome to use those. All right, thank you, Susan, so much for initiating this, and thank you, the rest of you, for being such great supports. And I hope your level 1 just rocks, right? So good stuff.